For question 19, I've got some algebraic fractions and I'm going to have to solve eventually to get a third. What I'm thinking when I see this is I'm probably going to have to use the quadratic formula to get to this point. So I'm going to start by thinking I've got fractions and they're subtracting. The first thing I'm going to do with any subtraction of fractions is find a common denominator. The easiest common denominator for us is just to have x times x plus 1. So I'm going to rewrite both fractions as x something over x times x plus 1. This first fraction I've had to multiply by x plus 1. This second fraction I've had to multiply by x. So I'm going to be left with just this here, and that is going to be equal to 4. So next up, let's combine them into 1. So x plus 1 take away x over x plus 1 is equal to 4. So 1 over x plus 1 equals 4. I've now got a single fraction and I'm being asked to solve. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to multiply by this denominator just here, leaving me with 1, and then multiply the denominator, 4x plus 1. And now I can expand, so 4x x plus 1. So that's going to give me 4x squared plus 4x is equal to 1. So 0 equals 4x squared plus 4x minus 1. If I then want to get an answer for this, I'm going to sub it into the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, just to remind you, is going to be x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Obviously, you're given that on your formula sheet. So for this, I've got a, b, and c. Be really careful with this. C is going to be equal to negative 1. So when we sub in, we've got to keep that the case there. So x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 lots of 4 negative 1. So we can then have all of that over 2 lots of 4. So I'm going to have negative 4 plus minus the square root of, well, 4 squared is 16, take away, 4 times 4 is 16, times negative 1 is negative 16, so plus 16 all over 8, negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 32 over 8. Now, the problem I have with this is quite simply, I've been told it must be in terms of root 2. I put it in terms of root 32. So for this, I'm going to have to simplify that third. The square root of 32 is equal to, but it's going to be something root 2. 32 divided by 2 is going to be 16. So square root of 16 is 4, so 4 root 2. And so now I have that this could be written as 4 negative 4 plus or minus 4 root 2 over 8. It doesn't want as a fraction though. It wants us without the fraction where a and b are fractions. So negative 4 divided by 8 is going to be negative 1/2, plus or minus 4 divided by 8 is 1/2, root 2 is our answer just there.